Hello guys and welcome again to the online series of learning IELTS with MS Education. Myself Disha Patel, and in today's lesson of grammar that is used in your IELTS exams, we'll be learning about voices, that is active and passive voice. So let us continue with today's lesson.
Today we will learn about voices. Let us start with the definition of voice. Voice is the term used to describe whether a verb is active or passive. So, according to the definition, there are two types of voices, active voice and passive voice. Talking about the active voice, if the subject is performing the action, then the verb is said to be in the active voice. In other words, in this active voice, the subject is the doer of the action and the object is the receiver of the action. Also, in the active voice, the person or thing that does the action is the subject of the sentence. Now, moving towards passive voice. In the passive voice, the subject is the receiver of the action. In clear words, in the passive voice, the person or thing acted upon is the subject. That means passive voice is simply formed by taking the object of an active voice and making it the subject of a passive voice. Now, let us see several pronouns in active and passive voice. As you can see the table, it illustrates various examples of active and passive voice. I would like to explain it with a few examples. I make a cake becomes cake is made by me. So, the active form I turns to me in the passive form. He plays cricket becomes cricket is played by him. Here, you remains you, but the sentence changes. You read the book becomes the book is read by you. We enjoyed the dinner becomes the dinner was enjoyed by us. Now, try to make similar sentences using she, they, it and who, and send your answers to us in the comment section. Now, as we know, the subject in active becomes the object in the passive. Let us see several examples of turning the sentences from active to passive voice. As you can see into the table, there are two columns. There are certain sentences written in the active voice and also the passive voice of the sentence is written in the next column. Let us take the first sentence. He writes a letter. This sentence is in simple present tense. The passive form is written as a letter is written by him. Here, we first mention the subject, then the sentence is joined by is or are, then the verb is used, joined by the word by, and then the object that is him. The second example, he is writing a letter. This is a present continuous tense sentence. The passive form is stated as a letter is being written by him. Here, the subject is mentioned first. Is, am or are can be used later, which is joined by being, the ing form of the verb, and then the third form of the verb which is written by the object that is him. Let us see at the third example. I have written a letter. This is a sentence in simple present perfect tense. Subject, here the letter is mentioned first in the passive form. Has been written is followed by that, and at last we have the object, that is by me. So the sentence in the passive form can be read out as a letter has been written by me. The fourth example, I wrote a letter. This sentence is in past tense. The passive form of this sentence turns out to be a letter was written by me. Here, the subject is followed by had been and the verb is placed, and lately we have the object, that is by me. We have few more examples, the active and their passive forms. He is writing a letter. This example is a past continuous tense. So the passive form turns out to be a letter was being written by him. Similarly, he had written a letter. This sentence is in past perfect tense. So it turns out to be a letter had been written by him in the passive form. Here the subject is used first, that is a letter, then had been is used, followed by the verb and the object. The third example, I shall write a letter. This is a sentence of future tense. This sentence can be read in the passive form as a letter will be written by me. I shall have bought a pen. This is an example of future perfect tense. Here, the passive form can be read as a pen will have been bought by me. Here, the subject is followed by will or shall. Will or shall have been, and then later by verb and the object. Before I end this video, I would like to suggest that you should learn the voices and the tenses one after another in order to understand both the topics thoroughly. Also, using passive voice is considered a good way of scoring higher bands in your IELTS exam. But this does not mean that you should overuse it. I hope you have understood the tenses. Thank you for attending the class. If you have any queries, please write us in the comment section. We will make sure that your doubts are solved as soon as possible. I'll see you in the next class.